Hey everybody, I hope y'all are having an amazing day today. My name is Mercer, and today I'm going to do something that I didn't plan on doing at first, but eventually warmed up to through, just seeing how cool of an idea it was. Um, at the end of Hulk vs. Broly, it was confirmed a couple characters that will be appearing in Season 8 of Death Battle. Disclaimer, none of the predictions I'm going to make for this video, which I'm going to be predicting their combatants, are confirmed. I'm going to say what kind of animation I want for the fight, what I expect from the fight, and who I think would win, which I think I'll go into the most. This is not a normal, top 10 wanted death battles. This is just a prediction for who will win these fights. It's very similar to my prediction to confirm fights, and I'll probably keep doing this for other seasons. With that out of the way, let's get started. So the first confirmed character that they announced was either Luke Skywalker or Jedi Master Yoda. Now, odds are it's fun to bring in more Star Wars characters, and I'm not really into bringing in Luke, but if they do, I think he'll probably fight Saber from the Fate series. But not only is Fate a hot mess, we also have to take into account that Luke has very complicated measurements compared to Obi-Wan. Also, Yoda is much, much cooler. I think a 3D animated fight, not SFM team or not, would be cool for Yoda. And I think that Yoda will personally fight Meta Knight. I've seen Dumbledore and Gandalf tossed around, but Yoda would genuinely be cool for Meta Knight since they're both kind of mentorish. I think sprites would be fine, though I would prefer if it were 3D animated. They could use like the Super Smash Bros. Brawl model for Meta Knight. And I think Yoda could use Clone Wars model since I do love Yoda in Clone Wars a lot. He was one of my favorite characters right next to Savage Opress. Anyway, so let's get started on who I think would win. Yoda has that mountain feat since we do know definitively that they'll be using Legends comics for Star Wars characters. And we do know, yeah, obviously Yoda has normal Jedi tools like the connection to the Force and his lightsaber. And Meta Knight's arsenal is much more expanding than Yoda's. Anyway, moving on to feats, Yoda does have the mountain feat lifting up the large rock monster who's the size of a mountain, who can even start up earthquakes, which are 200 megatons, with ease. And that was just a small percentage of his power. Also, if you compare the mountain to him, this is just the leg. So this mountain feat, we obviously know that this planet was much larger than basic Earth, so this mountain is much larger than normal mountains. I wouldn't go as far as to say Mount Everest. It's not as wide as Mount Everest, but it is very comparable considering it has some sort of granite composition. Not to mention Yoda does technically scale to all other Jedis like Plo Koon, Kit Fisto, Mace Windu, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, who all technically scale to the planet holding Ashuro, someone, I don't know. His name was definitely the hardest name I've had to pronounce in Star Wars, and Yoda definitely scales towards him. He even scales towards Anakin in training, not chosen one Anakin though. And obviously the fraction of light speed feat shown in Revenge of the Sith scales to Yoda as well because Yoda can fly ships like that and has fought characters like Count Dooku and General Grievous similar to that. Anyway, moving on to Meta Knight. Meta Knight has some interesting feats on his own. In terms of strength and durability, durability we'll get into a little bit, but speed is important. He did fly across the galaxy in a couple seconds, which puts him at around light speed. And he does scale to Kirby, not in terms of like raw strength, but can keep up with people like Kirby, who does have the Star Slam Heroes feats, which calculated by me. I'll take a link in my DDD versus K Rule video. Was around more than like 6.6 tons times 9, and he did survive the Magloire Soul Black Hole feat, along with Kirby and DDD. So with that out of the way, I do think that Meta Knight's going to come on top of this fight. Arguably, I think the best thing that they can focus on in this fight is just portraying Yoda's just like power levels of Force correctly, and Meta Knight's just raw power correctly. Meta Knight definitely outclasses Yoda in physical stats, but the connection of the Force will give Meta Knight a run for his money. I really hope that they do this fight correctly because I'm super looking forward to it. I love Kirby, and of course, I'm a big Star Wars fan. So, with that out of the way, let's move on to the another confirmed character, which was Doctor Doom from Marvel. And I was meh interested into it. I wasn't really invested into it on the same level as I was for Yoda, but because he's a returning combatant and Yoda's more like a new character. But honestly, his fights I've seen are like Black Adam and Lex Luthor. But not only do people want Black Adam to fight Apocalypse from big X-Men villain, Lex Luthor would generally be a stomp to Doctor Doom because Doctor Doom is compared to Iron Man, and we know how that goes. I think Doctor Doom is gonna fight Gilgamesh from the Fate series, but like I've said earlier, Fate is generally a hot mess, and using scaling correctly towards Fate, not just scaling, but power levels and the timeline for Fate, is super hard to predict. Super hard. Um, and yeah, and I like Gilgamesh a lot. I've seen a bit. I've seen Fate Stay Night, but generally, the parts I've seen for Gilgamesh, he is a powerhouse, and he's a very cool character in his own right. And Doctor Doom is very similar to him. Um, in the style I'd like animated, I think sprites are fine. I don't think you really need too much for this, but if you do 3D models, that'd be cool. I would like some hand-drawn scenes, like up close with Doctor Doom's scarred face, or Gilgamesh's. Just like how they did with Todoroki versus Zuko, not the muscular Todoroki scene, but like the final scene when he was like, "I'll have to go beyond," and that was pretty cool. I don't know. I thought that fight was alright, I guess. But yeah, if they do 3D models, that's fine, I guess. I don't know. I just hope they don't use the same sprite as they did for Darth Vader versus Doctor Doom. Um, just to stay like completely new stuff. But anyway, with that out of the way, Doctor Doom does have the same power level as compared to people like Reed Richards and Iron Man, and can keep on up with the Fantastic Four and the Avengers. But Gilgamesh can go on with numerous heroes, has weapon summoning, portal summoning, and a number of other different abilities he can choose from. I guess generally, and I'll say this a lot of the fights on this list are typically 51 to 49, but Death Battle has said they like the majority more, and Gilgamesh does win the majority. But, we'll just see how that pans out. Boy, am I happy. Steven Universe is coming next. And I think it's mostly known by a ton of people who Steven will be fighting. And I would like this to be hand drawn. I'll go into a little bit more, but I think most people would like to see this hand drawn. No questions about that. And he's probably going to be fighting Star Butterfly. It's a legacy matchup, really no question about it. People like Ben 10 or Danny Phantom or Jake Long or I don't know, anyone like that or the Fairly Odd Parents cast, generally I don't want to see fight Steven Universe. It's not that they're bad fights, it's just that Star is probably the most thematic fight for Steven I've seen tossed around. And that's final. Like literally no one I've seen can compare to Star Butterfly versus Steven Universe. They're both kids with magical weapons that they don't fully understand, but eventually do unlock the potential of, and both have some sort of iconic symbol, Steven being the star, and Star, which is ironic considering her name's Star, and Star having a heart. With that out of the way, let's talk about who wins. Steven, of course, has numerous different shields, a healing ability, and tons of different abilities he can choose from. He can cast illusions, create force fields, fly on some occasion, and can heal, which I think I already said. But the shield ability is he's mostly a defensive fighter and is definitely a pacifist. Star Butterfly is normally charged up with energy beams like the Narwhal Blast, and her butterfly form grants her flight at around the speed of light. However, Steven did keep up with this in that one rocket ship feat he was in, where he not only held back but pushed forward in a starship and lifted that obsidian version of himself. I think generally it's more likely if Star can get a really good hit in, she will be more likely to win. But if Steven can hold out long enough, he's more likely to win. On to the next one. Ryoku Matoy from Kill la Kill. Honestly, Ryoku had been pushed over when she was supposed to fight Krona, technically, but they did Krona versus Venom instead. Which I honestly wanted Ryoku to fight Shiro, but I actually changed my mind about that. Ryoku has had a number of opponents she can choose from, like Akame from Akame Got Killed, but I think Akame should fight Killua, and that's what I'm doing in Character War. Anyway, and or Shadow the Hedgehog. which is a rough thing to pick. I think it's most likely that she'll pick Shadow, but who do I think she's going to be fighting? I think it's more likely that she'll fight Tatsumi from Akame ga Kill. In terms of how I want it, I think sprites are fine. I'm not really going to ask much for the animation. But generally, I just hope that they portray the characters well. They're both kids who are master swords artists, and who wield powerful armor that they inherited from the loved ones, Bulat and Professor Matoy. Tatsumi is a very good fighter. He's great with hand-to-hand combat, especially with swordsmanship, or just sword fighting. Yeah, I'll just say that. And he has a very nice array of arsenals with Incurcio, who is his armor, his Imperial arms, which allow him to fly in its ultimate form and take on the heavy Emperor's Imperial arms. Ryoku has her armor, her Zenketsu, which has a golden form, which allows her to fly and generate energy beams, and she can use her scissor blade. Personally, this fight is much closer than I thought. I originally was going to just side with Ryuko, but things have changed. Not exactly in the winter, but they have gotten closer. It's not exactly 49-51, but it is still somewhere near like 45% for Tatsumi, and 55% for Ryuko. I think Ryuko is more likely to win as she does scale beyond Tatsumi, and Tatsumi's golden armor form is like only boasted in his like adrenaline-induced state that Bulat told him about. I think he does scale beyond Bulat, and Bulat has some crazy feats too, but they're not really that big. And finally, Mikasa, oh not finally, second to last, Mikasa from Attack on Titan was confirmed. I think it's most likely that people will know who she's going to be fighting, and that is Belladonna from Ruby, which is good because she's actually one of the, I wouldn't say not popular, but I think she is a very cool Ruby character in her own right. This fight will probably have to be 3D. It would be weird if it was in sprites. I mean, there are good Ruby sprite animations, but just not as good as 3D. Anyway, Blake scales beyond other members of, not beyond, but around other members of Ruby and can go around or near Adam Taurus' skill. She's obviously capable of going through steel and even stone concretes with powerful ease. Mikasa can go take down Titans with her skill and scales to not Eren Yeager, giant form, Eren Yeager, beast form, who can overpower Titans. Mikasa has done that as well. If you pronounce it Mikasa, that's too cool, but I pronounce it Mikasa. I hope they capture the art of the characters correctly. I mean, these two have faced a lot of prejudice for who they are. Blake with her faunus traits and Mikasa with her traits. I think it is most likely that Blake will take the win on this because they are similar in grappling abilities, and Mikasa does have an advantage in mid-air combat, but thanks to her semblance and just her more array of skills, I think Blake is more likely to win. But finally, Final Fantasy's Cloud Strife, and we all know that he's going to be rematched with Link. Now, which Link? Probably Breath of the Wild and Hyrule Warriors Link. I hope that they use the 3D models. Like, if you haven't seen the newest 3D animation for Link, I don't think they used Breath of the Wild Link. They used Twilight Princess, which was the current Link that they used. But these characters have gotten a big buff in terms of just raw combat training. One sec, guys. And, Link's buff was kind of big. Breath of the Wild isn't the strongest Link that's come out, but still. I mean, if we used Dissidia in the remake for Final Fantasy VII, which I'm looking at right here, I have a book of. I'm not, like, looking upward because it's on my mantle. That's just, wow, it's crazy cool. Anyway, so let's talk about Link. Cloud does have a number of materia slots, the Buster Sword, and can scale around Sephiroth base form like, not with Supernova, but Link likely has his Master Sword and his Urbosa's Fury and the Four Fallen Champions, which he scales to in warrior training. Cloud is most likely going to win, and just thanks to all physical stats, even though it will be tough, and I can't wait to see how they'll portray Link's arsenals. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. Follow me on Instagram, and I will see you all in the next one.